that stormwater BMPs are stormwater utilities, so they have to be maintained in perpetuity, which means forever, right? So the things we're building are actually stormwater utilities. They're not pretty gardens, and they're not they're functional stormwater utilities. That means they have to be maintained forever. So that's a point that's lost on a lot of owners. It's lost on a lot of contractors. You know, we think we just slap that thing in there, but actually it has to perform, and and if it doesn't perform, you get a letter of non-compliance from the city, right? Stormwater manager, stormwater inspector comes out and says, hey, this BMP is capped off with 3 inches of silt. It's not performing. They write you a letter of non-compliance, and they have the ability to come out and fine and do all those things that we hate to see. So one of the biggest problems we're having is schedule issues. So we're being, with traditional landscape, with trees, woody shrubs, sod, we can literally plant those any day of the year. You plant a Bachelor a Latham was 10 degrees outside, we didn't lose one tree. Because those trees were they were dormant, they were suspended in animation maybe. But the BMPs, they're asking us, to Dan's point, I think he mentioned it, that everybody wants, the holy grail of construction is certificate of occupancy, right? Not temporary, but permanent certificate of occupancy. And so if we get asked by a general contractor to go out and install a bioretention pond in August or September, doesn't have enough time for the deep salt plugs to root, to get established, and the seed to germinate, we could end up with a train wreck.
All right, quick question. From the time you get the contract until you do the installation, what would you say is the general time frame?
9 months.
9 months?
On average. From the time we win a job, the time we start building is 9 months on average. It could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. It could be 1 day.
Duration lately is shorter than longer.
Yes.
As it used to be. So it used to be a lot longer lead time.
Problem is, this is what we got on one job. We showed up and they said, all right, we're ready for you. And we said, wait a minute, whoa, hey, this isn't stabilized. Number one, Mark BMP manual says, you don't install bioretention until the surrounding watershed is stabilized. That wasn't stabilized. I mean, this I could deal with, this I couldn't deal with. So let's go to the next one. So that's what I'm talking about. The silt from adjacent soybean fields, wheat fields. If you've got agriculture next door and they tell you to put in a bioretention pond, you got to look upstream. The watershed, is everything where the rain can hit and feed into your area via gravity, right? Another thing is adjacent construction sites where you have silt fence. You see that silt fence is blown out next door, and we're putting our deep cell plugs and everything is perfect. And you look over right on the other side of the parking lot is a construction site with silt that can run into your bioretention pond. If it gets capped off with silt, that bioretention pond could fail, right? Another one is the area around the bioretention, that whole watershed. If it's seeded, but the seed hasn't really established yet, it's still just germinating. It's not ready to hold back silt that can come. All right, so this is an actual site that was supposed to be stabilized, and that's what happened. That was 1 2-inch rainfall created that. We had some pretty good volumes. It was probably 6 feet per second of water flow. But that was supposedly a stabilized field when we arrived at this job site. Let's go to the next one. This is what we did to stabilize that. You guys know what scour stop is? Mm-hmm. Put that in. We put in, there's TRM underneath there, and then there's sod, and then we put in this. So this is, you go back to that last slide, this is the exact same spot. This is the flume coming out of the driveway, out of a parking lot. That's how it looked when I arrived the first time. I was like, holy smokes, it's all gone, right? Came back, and we got, we had to redo it. This is how we ended up looking. There's a creek down here, and all that. That's what we had to do to get it to work and hold the grade. And then we seeded, and the seed finally came in really nice. But let's go down to the. So one of the big problems I'm seeing is with rain gardens. And rain gardens are, by definition, a depression of plants. And the plants are, part of the the bioengineering system. So until those plants, have these deep root systems, the water's going to want a pond in there sometimes. So the problem is, I think as designers and contractors, we have to look at, we've got to be realistic and say, if this thing holds water, what are we going to do? Right? Because most of them are holding water because, like in Johnson County, we have this high clay content soil. So we get no perk rate coming down initially, and these plants will take 2 or 3 or 4 years to create these microchannels, right, deep into the subgrade. So what do we do in the meantime? So the answer, one of the answers is put in a temporary drain tile. I've seen some landscape architects catching on to this. Put in a drain tile to take that water, at least the surface water, off and away until these plants can be established. Because that could take 2 or 3 years. The other thing they can do is, well, you can put a trash pump in there. You guys ever come up to a rain garden that's full of water? Hey, go down to the next slide. That. So you show up, this thing rained a week ago, right? Well, what do? Most people just sit there and go, hey, the plants are dying. Hey, they're all dead. Look, they're dead. What they should have done is get a trash pump, either put in a drain tile if you could get to daylight someplace, or get a trash pump and get that thing pumped out. Because it's not a normally wet condition. A rain garden is a normally dry condition. But in this case, we turned it into a normally wet condition. But that's the other thing is the plant palette has to be a normally dry condition plant palette, and then we have to create a dry condition. So diversion is a crazy. Let's go back. So diversion is a really unpopular subject, because the owner we go to all this trouble to put in these 2 huge bioretention ponds. It's a true story. This one we put in. These are like 100 feet long, and then the parking lots up here have curb inlets, and the water comes out of an end section into here, and I was like, well, we just put these deep salt plugs in here, and they're gonna take some time. This water's coming out here at 5 feet per second, let's say, and it's gonna blow all this mulch. The mulch floats, interestingly enough, right? Mulch is wood. Can't we just divert that storm water for a while? And so we have these curb cuts, end sections coming in. Can't we just divert the storm water over here for a year? And the city said, well, you won't get certificate of occupancy if you do that, because these have to be in a functioning format or to get final C of O, right? I said, can't you just make a little allowance here? So what happened was it rained, and these end sections blew out, and it created tremendous gully erosion at the end of these. You know what gully erosion is? Gully erosion is what? Is greater than 3 inches deep. Real erosion is less than 3 inches, right? Well, so these end sections, when it rained, and this was a huge parking lot, that water came out that end section, just blew all of our plants into big piles over here. Because the root systems, these are deep cell plugs, which is 5 by 2. So the little root systems are like this. The day we plant that plant, that's the root system, right? Now, 2 years from now, it's going to have this huge root system going down, well anchored. The plants will be huge, right? But the day we plant, this thing has a very localized root system in a very light sand soil mix. Can't we get along here? I mean, can't we think about this? And they said no, because that stormwater is going to be polluted. It's going to be full of silt. It's going to have antifreeze in it and motor oil. We can't divert that to the creek. Mourning doves, we did an 8-acre native grass conversion over here on an apartment complex. Took 8 acres of fescue and put it into native grasses. Well, guess what our biggest problem was? Mourning doves. I've got video of thousands. I swear there were thousands of them. Because native grass all goes at 1/4 inch deep. And I would come out there and it just kept flushing up, and I'm like, I got my little camcorder going. I was like, impossible that we got smoked by a bunch of mourning doves. But the true thing, it happened.